in the long run. And their other movie that they had was Cloverfield. That was the big January movie. There's always one movie every Jan does really good and beats everybody's expectations, and it was Cloverfield. Had a $40 million opening. That's the second biggest opening for a January release. And guess what? How much it came up with? Yep, came up with all of $80 million. That's right. It only got 50% more after its. That is horrible. I'm sorry, but what the heck? That was just horrible hold. That's some of the worst holding I've ever seen for a movie that opens at 40 million. How do you not make 100 million if you open at 40 million? I don't know. It didn't. Obviously, that's a bad spread word of mouth, or it was just a lot of teenagers that went to go see that movie and either didn't like it or didn't spread the word. I don't know. So again, and that movie did okay critically, but it didn't do good at the box office. I mean, for a $25 million movie, it obviously did very well, but they probably were thinking when it opened at 40, wow, this is going to be awesome, but it really wasn't. So Paramount is actually doing pretty good now. They've slowly been taking the route, let's come out with cheaper movies, and it has worked, except for Drill Bit Taylor. Opened at only 10 million, it's only made 31. Better than its face-off of Shudder, but still, that's a bad opening. I'm sure that movie had a budget of 50 million. It's not going to make it for sure. With the foreign box office it will, but domestically, no, didn't do good. That was just mismarketed. Plain and simple. I don't know what they were appealing to. Teenagers, obviously, with that movie. But Owen Wilson, I don't know if he's ready to star in his own roles. He does good when he pairs up with Ben Stiller, but I don't know. Alright, let's look at my favorite studio, Lionsgate Films. Lionsgate is the obscure studio of Hollywood. They do not create budget movies. They create the smaller movies with low budgets that usually don't make a lot at the box office, but they've had good movies. For example, 3:10 to Yuma last year, their big budget movie of 55 million. They made 10 million off it, made 65. So that's pretty good. That's enough to fund one of their Saw movies. That's going to come out later this year for sure, again. Those movies cost all of 10 or 15 million to make, and they make about 100 million, at least a little more worldwide. So Lionsgate is one of the most profitable studios because they don't put a lot of money into their movies. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that they never get any of the A-list actors. Except for when they finally decide, hey, let's put at least 50 million into a movie and get Christian Bale and Russell Crowe. Now, they already did that this year with The Forbidden Kingdom. That was their big budget movie of the year. They decided to come out with a little bit earlier this year. And unfortunately for them, it's not doing as well as they thought it would. It's only Indiana Jones and Chronicles of Narnia comes out. So, whatever, it'll make 50 million. Not up to its budget of 55 million, but with the worldwide it will. So again, it doesn't seem to matter if they put a lot of money into the movies or not, because their movies usually are only going to make around that much. I've yet to see a Lionsgate film do very well. They do well critically. After that, they've actually come out with a lot this year, more than usual. Rambo, their January movie, the first action movie of the year, did very well. Beyond expectations, made $43 million. Worldwide, it's done very well. It's made $110 million on a budget of $50 million. That's pretty good. Doubled. After that is Tyler Perry's Meet the Browns. They always come out with these 2 Tyler Perry movies every year. They never really do really well. They only make around 30 to 40 million. So, but when you have a budget of 10 million, that's not too bad. I don't think it's too bad, at least. So, you know, the African American movies usually don't do very well in the long run. They do good on opening weekend, but because it made 20 million. But then after that, they really die off. It's only made 42 so far, and it's pretty much done. So, yeah, and then after that, they really haven't had anything super good. They had The Eye, which was their February horror movie, which had Jessica Alba in it, and she's not a very good actress. At least I don't think she is. But the movie still did make 31 million. And with the foreign box office, I think it's up in the 50s or 60s, so that's pretty good on a budget of only 20 million. So I guess it works. The Bank Job. That movie has made a lot less than what they expected. I think they expected it to open around 10 to 15 million. It only opened around 6. But it held well. It did. It held well for 5 or 6 weeks, and it ended up at 30 million. That's pretty good. On a $5 million opening to make 30 million, I'd say that's pretty good. Especially when your max theaters is 1613. Okay, now I'm going to move on to Universal Studios, which has done probably the worst this year of all the major studios. I'm sad to say, because, well, first of all, they haven't come out with a lot. And when you don't come out with a lot, you're probably not going to do very well. But the last 2 weeks, they've come out with 2 comedies, which are their best movies so far. Baby Mama and Forgetting Sarah Marshall. They both are in the... Forgetting Sarah Marshall is up already to 44. It's probably going to finish around 60, which is pretty good for a comedy. And Baby Mama, they're both going to die off, though, because of the big May movies, but still. They are doing pretty well for what their standards are. After that, Universal really doesn't have anything. Welcome Home Roscoe Jenkins made 42, which is probably around what they expected it to be on a $35 million budget, so it didn't really make a whole lot for them. Leatherheads was their biggest failure for this first part of the movie year, because Leatherheads had a, I think it was a $58 million budget or something like that, and it only opened and it only made 16 million or 12 million on opening weekend. That's really bad. That's just bad marketing. Bottom line, I don't know. They were trying to make it either a comedy or a period piece, and a sports period, and they just didn't know what to do, I don't think, in the trailers. So people didn't know what it was before going into it, so it didn't do well. Even with somebody like George Clooney at the head of it. It's only made 30 million. That's pretty much done too, which is really sad. That's $28 million below their budget. And the foreign box office is not going to be much better, because the football movies, American football, is not popular overseas. So I'm sorry for Universal, but that movie was a bust. And that's it for Universal this so far this year. They haven't come out with anything. I don't know. I'm looking ahead at this year for Universal, and there's just nothing good. I mean, these movies, I don't know, this year, they're just not going to do good, which I'm surprised at, because last year they did so good. You'd think they would have put that money into some good movies, but I don't know. They've got The Incredible Hulk coming out. That might help them out. I don't know. The first movie did just so bad critically that I don't know how good the second one is going to be. Alright, let's look at Buena Vista, aka Disney. Now, they don't come out with anything prior to the summer. They are just a summer movie studio, bottom line. They've come out with one thing so far this entire... They've come out with 2 movies so far in the first 4 months. Step Up to the Streets, which was a sequel to the first. It's made $57 million, which is very good for a budget. They don't have a budget listed for it, but I think the budget is around 15 or 20 million. So that's pretty good with an $18 million opening. Again, that was the only movie I mentioned before that's in the 50s this so far this year, which I'm pretty surprised at. Their other movie was College Road Trip, which did okay, I guess, for a $30 million budget. It's made 43, and it's done. So with the worldwide foreign box office, it's going to do pretty good. But again, Buena Vista, they don't really care about either one of those movies, because their big summer movies are going to come out pretty soon. Prince Caspian, that's going to be a big hit. It's pretty much a lock to make 250 million domestically. Some people think it's a lock that it's going to make 300 million domestically. It might. The first one made 291. Pretty good. And then they've got WALL-E, which is their Pixar film that they have every year. The Pixar films make so much money, but they put a lot of money into those movies. They put usually at least 120 million into Pixar movies. That's a lot of money, but they come out with over 200 million domestically. With the worldwide box office, they almost get up to 400 million every single time.